Welcome to Anna Videos. If you're into Windows, you're in the right place. In today's video, we're exploring a look back at Windows 10 from 2015. Let's get started. Windows 10 is weird. Okay, not weird. I guess different from any other operating system we've seen. If we take a look at older versions of Windows, like Windows XP, Vista 7 and 8, we can see that aside from the service packs and the 0.1 update to Windows 8, we don't see that many new feature updates to the operating system after it's released. We mostly just see performance stability and security updates throughout its lifespan. And even then, the service packs don't provide that much functionality updates to the operating system. So for the most part, it's just stability updates. But Windows 10 is different because after Microsoft released it in 2015, they were dedicated to pushing updates to the operating system every 6 months with a major feature updates. And as you can see, there's a couple of Windows 10 builds. And this spans from 2015 to 2020, even today. But I figured let's take a trip back to 2015 and take a look at Windows 10's initial build. Version 1507, or codename Threshold 1. And compared to today's modern version of Windows 10, version 2004 or codename 20H1 Windows 10 compared 5 years apart. Let's see what's changed in the past 5 years. So on my desktop, I have two ISO files. The first one being Windows 10, version 1507, the version from 2015, and Windows 10 version 2004, the version from 2020. All right, so you might be saying to yourself, okay, this guy is just going to go through the whole setup process of Windows 10 and waste our time. But that's actually not the case because the setup menu on both versions of Windows 10 have actually changed significantly over the past 5 years. So I wanted to show that off before we get to the juicy stuff, which is the desktop itself. All right, let's start the first one. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to show the setup side by side. So let's search for the first one. Which one is this? 2015? Yep. Start this one and we'll put this one to this side. And then we'll go ahead and insert version 2004 and this side. All right, get ready to be entertained. So initially, at first, both versions of Windows 10 have almost the same exact kind of initial setup process. But once we get to out-of-box experience, it starts to get really different. So let's click the next on both. So the first part might seem pretty boring. This pretty much looks exactly the same. So, the only thing I've seen is this is a skip button, and this one is an I don't have a product key button. And I'm not going to bother to do that. That was probably because this is basically an all-in-one package. This is just Windows 10 Pro and Windows 10 Home. So we're just going to go ahead and install the Pro versions in both. Last updated July 2015, and this one's been last updated in July. June of 2018. I guess they haven't updated the license and the checkbox. You can see that the check is slightly different. Why do I pay attention to this stuff? I'm really weird. And I guess, just for fun, this isn't really scientific or anything. But let's see which one gets to the out-of-box experience first, okay? Finally, after even 30 half an hour, both setup screens are finally at the out-of-box experience. That took way too long. So as you can see, the setup screen is completely different. Let's go ahead and not put in the project key. Let's just put this at United States. Let's not add a second keyboard layout. Why would we? Now, it's going to do something with the network. So while this is happening, let's go ahead and click Express Settings. Oh, okay. It's already restarting. Wait, are you serious? Is that it? Is that all of Windows 10 set up? That'd be cool. Set up for personal use. While this is restarting, we'll just keep setting this one up. This is very organized. We're probably going to be for, oh no, Oh, offline account. Oh, did they add the option back? I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. Limited experience. See? They just beg you. They just beg you to use a Microsoft account. All right, Windows 10. Yeah, let's look next. Who cares about password? We'll get hacked. Like, look at this. Look, this is all stuff that no one needs. So it's done with that process. Okay, well, it's already done. This one just asked me to do express settings and it's restarting again. So I own it. Let's click next. See, as you can see this whole set of process, it's just a blue background. There's no like Cortana setup or anything like that. Let's skip this step. Let's call this Windows 10 2015. Next, did one. Oh, this. Okay, 2020 Windows 10. 2020 is going to win. The truth is, no one really won. No, it's already almost there. We're setting up every... Oh, okay. There you go. Oh, whoa. I'm so confused. Okay, it was logging on. I got so confused for a second. But anyways, aside from all that, we got everything finally downloaded. Yes? Oh my gosh, it's finally done. That took so long. All right, so after an hour of finally getting these virtual machines set up, we can finally start comparing both versions of Windows 10. So on the left is Windows 10 version 1507, released from... On the right is Windows 10 version 2004, released in 2020. For the rest of the video, I'm going to be considering the left 1507 and the right 2004, just so it's simplified. And I'm not naming these operating systems completely different things. But the first thing that stuck out to me when I was installing both of these was the background. So the background in Windows 10 version 1507 is definitely very unique. This is definitely one of the positive sides to Windows 10 in general, is that this background looks honestly really cool. There's like beams of lights shooting out like a lot more like lighting here. Honestly, I don't really like this newer version of the background. It definitely looks a lot more boring. I mean, it's kind of obvious that it looks a lot more boring. But I feel like this is supposed to accompany the light theme in Windows 10. There's a light theme right over here. In this version, there is no light theme, so you're basically forced to stay with a dark mode. I also wanted to talk about the apps in general. So if you go to the home screen and the settings app, I'm going to be basically describing every single built-in app in the Windows, as I'm going to be describing the Windows setting. So pretty much every single app over the past 5 years has had not like a significant change, but they've definitely had like some strange, like UI changes with some layouts being different and some fonts being different. For example, you can see that the title over here, it says Windows Settings, and this one just says Settings. But this one, the one in 1507, everything is capitalized. The font is bolder and it's capitalized over here. It's properly punctuated and it's thinner. But I've noticed that a lot of app elements are a lot bigger in Windows 10 1507 over here, slightly smaller. And if you go into any menu, you can see that there's icons accompanying pretty much every single menu over here. There's not really an icon. And I mean, overall, the UI looks slightly different. So I'm not going to go into every little detail, but this applies to me pretty much every single app with little UI layout changes. If I go to, the Microsoft Store, which was actually renamed, which was actually previously called the Windows Store. So it's called the Microsoft Store in version 2004. In 1507, it's called the Windows Store. So they rebranded it. It again, same kind of deal. You can see that there's a capitalization over here. Apparently it changes the lowercase. So whenever I full screen, I don't really know. So you can see that the user interface of the app, it looks the same, but the layout is slightly different. Like, look at this. The top 3 app section is down over here with some featured apps taking up more of the screen. So it's little changes like that. But let's move on to the taskbar and the start menu and stuff. So first thing that before I even the start menu, I noticed that the search bars actually are completely different. So over here it's in 1507, the search bar is completely black and it says search the web in Windows. In 2004, it's white, and it says type here to search with this little search icon, which is not present. But that's the search bars. It's slightly different. If you open the start menus themselves, you can see that. You can see a whole lot of different things. You can tell. At first glance, it might seem the same, but when you start using it, you'll definitely notice there's some slight differences. So first off, there's a bunch of new icons in Windows 10 version 2020. Like for example, the Photos app. It's more of a 3D. It has a lot more life to it. You can see that it's 3D. It's more colorful. In Windows 10 2015, it's flat and it resembles Windows 8, which isn't a bad thing. But honestly, I definitely prefer how Windows 10 2004 handles the icons. It definitely feels like each icon has a lot more personality over here. It's just flat. And this applies to pretty much a bunch. Like this applies to pretty much every single icon in the system. If I go to the apples, which is its own button over here, it's not. As you can see, everything is like flat more. It resembles Windows 8 a lot more. Over here, it's its own thing. Everything is 3D, more colorful, which is definitely a problem I had with the older versions of Windows 10. I like how they're finally adding some life to Windows 10. But let's go back to the main menu. So over here, there's a hamburger menu, which has a couple of shortcuts. These shortcuts are pretty much the same here. The user menu is up here rather than it being in the hamburger menu or just being here in general. So as you can see, again, a lot of strange layout differences, but overall, the star menu is still like the same thing. It is just that the layout is different and the icons are completely different as well. Cortana, I really wanted to talk about this. So if you go to search, first of all, search, before we get to Cortana, search is its own menu. Not integrated with the start menu anymore. Just it looks like it's in its own menu. And that applies to Cortana as well. So Cortana is its own app. Now, over here, it was integrated with the start menu itself. So everything is a lot more unified in version 1507, which I definitely like. I don't like how everything is separated in version 2004. So, the search is separated, the start menu separated, Cortana separated. You can see that the start menus, is in the same menu. The search button is in the same menu. The core Cortana is in the same menu. So yeah, that's definitely interesting. If I search up, let's just search a Bing over here. And if I go here, if I search a Bing, the search results are pretty much almost the same. It's just slightly different. It doesn't look that entertaining, to be honest. Let's take a look at the File Explorer. So as you can see, if you look at the icon at the taskbar, the File Explorer is. The icon is slightly different. If you take a really close look at it, it's slightly different. Slightly different color and slightly different file icon. But that's not the important part over here. I've noticed that the menus, the menu bars, they're actually bigger, and that's probably to accompany the touchscreen devices, which is not bad at all. If you're using a desktop computer, it might be slightly annoying. But yeah, the icons, the menus have been slightly bigger. The search bar is bigger. On 2004 and in 1507, they're like the same as Windows 7, 8.1, stuff like that. The second look at the Action Center. Yeah, pretty much the same as you can see. Here's more of what I'm talking about. Windows 10 has a lot more bolder, bigger fonts, whereas over here, it's more thinner. Everything is, yeah, definitely. It's just the small stuff, you know? Like the expand button is on the left over here in 2004. And 1507. The expand button is on the right or the no new notifications men. Our text is on the middle over here. It's on the top. Like it's all this small stuff, you know? It's like unnecessary. But it's at the same time, it's like, why would you do it? Like, why? There's no reason. There's also, I've noticed there's a little bit more transparency in Windows 10 version 2, 1507. This might be a virtual machine thing, but I mean, you can clearly see that there's transparency effects in the Action Center over here. There aren't, and that pretty much applies to a bunch of small menus if I go to here. Okay, well that was a terrible example of what I was talking about. Oh yeah, here. So there's transparency behind the calendar over here. There isn't, and there's a setup agenda menu. There isn't any sort of agenda menu here. So they've definitely added some features over the past years. Let's take a look at the old Microsoft address. There's square tabs. You know, the tabs are square here. It's curved, and it doesn't take up the whole menu bar or the whole window. If you go to YouTube over here, you can see it just loads up instantly. If you go to YouTube over here, you can see that it takes slightly longer. Yeah, it takes a lot longer to load. So that's why it uses the Chromium web-based engine over here. It uses the Edge HTML engine. You can also add like Chrome extensions to Microsoft Edge in the new version. In the old version, you can do any of that. So this version is definitely the 1507 Microsoft Edge legacy. It's definitely becoming more and more outdated. So yeah, don't expect this to become updated anytime soon. So this is the future of Microsoft Edge. And I've definitely noticed that this Microsoft Edge has been gaining a lot more traction over the past few months, which is definitely good. It encourages more browser competition. Oh, I forgot to mention the control panel. So in the control panel, this is one thing I noticed the most. One of the things I've noticed the most, so of course there's like a slight icon change between some of these icons, but whatever. That's not what I was trying to talk about. So the control panel, as you can see in version 1507, there's a lot more menus in the control panel. Like, as you can see, appearance and personalization, there's a couple more menus over here. There isn't? And the clocks and all this stuff, there's a lot more menus in 1507's control panel. And in version 2004's, there isn't really anything. It just gets to the bare minimum. And this is because when Microsoft released Windows 10, they were still transitioning everything from the control panel to the settings menu. And this made the Windows 10 feel really incomplete. But yeah, they were still transitioning everything. So there was still a lot of things in the control panel. They've definitely completed it. More or less completed it in Windows 10 version 2004. Look at this. There's less menus. There's also a personalization app in the theme. Like, this is an example of what I'm talking about. They completely removed this theme section in the control panel and replaced it with their own little menu for their own theme. So you can, just like before, I don't know why there isn't any cursor customization or anything like that, but you can change your sounds from here. Your cursor, your background, your color, pretty much everything from here. So what has changed over the past 5 years? So first off, the background has changed and the icons have been completely changed. Can tell it's a lot more 3D. It gives Windows 10 more personality, and it all comes down to just a couple of UI elements, just moving around and stuff. So again, there's a lot that's changed, but at the same time, it's not significant enough to say that it's own. It's that it's its own operating system. But overall, I think Windows 10 is taking the right direction. It's definitely refining things a lot better than it ever was 5 years ago. There's definitely some things I like in version 1507 and Ver, and things I like in version 2004. But overall, I feel like Windows 10 is definitely getting a lot better, and it's definitely getting a lot more stable and refined and more consistent as the years go by. But that's pretty much it for the comparison between Windows 10 1507 and Windows 10 2004. Definitely liking what Microsoft is doing. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Drop a comment below with your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.